When you come to a crossroad and run into the winner and the quitter in you, listen to the winner. The quitter will never take you down the road you want to travel. I believe we all have a winner in us. There is a winner inside of you. Sometimes we just have been around negativity for way too long, developed the mindset of a winner. The truth is, most people give up on their dream. Most people give up on their dream to live the average lifestyle. But it really doesn't matter what most people do. What do you do? Because you are different. You will never give up on your dream. You will never not listen to the average. You will always listen to the winner in you. You will believe in yourself when no one else does. You will believe in yourself when you have no reason to believe, and you will never, ever quit. I know some of you are going through a rough time right now. Some of you are going through the fight of your life, fighting for your future, fighting for your career, fighting for your family. Some of you are fighting for your life. And I'm telling you, don't quit. Do not give in. I know life can be tough. I know life can wear you down. But if you just stick it out, even if you don't get the result, you will find the character you show will be your reward. The fighting spirit you develop will be the reward, and it will serve you well for the rest of your life. Fight for what you want now, or fight against what you don't want later. You choose. Don't you dare quit. Don't you dare settle. Don't you dare get back down. Not today or any other day. When the tough moments come, never forget you are in that moment writing your own legacy. In that tough moment, you are setting the standard for your character. Do you have the character? Well, do you? When you come to a crossroad and run into the winner and the quitter in you, listen to the winner. When you make a commitment to yourself, you make sure you see it through. Never, ever quit. Even if you don't get the result, you will find the character you show will be your reward. Don't you dare quit. Don't you dare ever settle, and don't you dare ever back down. Fight for what you want or fight against what you don't want at a later time. And always know that God is right there with you. Just allow God to guide and direct you, and you will always be a winner.
Good morning. My name is Ralf Friedrichs. I'm an addiction recovery coach, a life coach, and a host of this show, the Take Your Life Back Today show. Also, the podcast radio show. And you can find that on iHeartRadio, iTunes, or Google Music. Folks, let's talk about honesty today. It's a tough world out there. Is honesty really the best policy? A lot of people say. Is honesty really the best policy? Let me ask you this. Husbands, when your wife asks the age-old question, do I look fat in this? Are you honest with her? By the way, that's a loaded question, isn't it? There's really no good outcome for you at this point, should you answer that honestly or not. What about when your grandmother spends 100 hours knitting you the world's ugliest sweater, and she says, don't you just love it? Or when your kid makes you a mishap or a puke green ceramic bowl in art class and says, do you like it? Come on, do you really like it, Mom? Don't you? Well, the old saying, honesty is the best policy, is not always right. Depends on the situation. Because honesty isn't a policy. It's a value. I value honesty in people. But I also value compassion, kindness, appropriateness. Sure, it would be honest to tell your kid that there's no Picasso in their blood and that he ought to stick to spelling or maybe writing. But is that kind? No. If you're being honest, do you tell your wife that she looks huge in that dress? Sure, that's honest. But is it compassionate? No. Some could argue it would be compassionate to tell her the truth so she doesn't go out looking bad in public. I'm not married to your wife, so only you know if that kind of thing will go over very well. Or you might be sleeping on the couch that night. I value honesty, but I also value people who have enough sense to know how and when to apply that honesty in a way that does the least amount of harm to anyone that they're speaking to. What I don't value, my friends, are the people who apply honesty, truth, fairness, and equality on their terms only. People who don't want to do the right thing. People that want to do the easy thing, the popular thing, or people that want to take the path of least resistance. Is that honest when they do that? This is easy to do when you view honesty as a policy. Why? Because policy can change over time with new sets of circumstances. They can also change as people change. Ask me, I know. I've been, in the people business for many, many, many years, and I've seen lots of policies and organizations and how they've grown at workplaces and how they've changed in workplaces. Think about government. Their policies change all the time. Sometimes it's as fluid as just who in the president's seat at the time and his policies. Policies change, values rarely do. When we have a value system, a way of being in the world, a set of beliefs that guide our actions, we tend to hold onto them as our truth. Friends, we use these values to help us make decisions and make choices in our lives. From the time most of us can remember, we've made choices that help shape our lives. From the little mundane choices like pizza or burger or paper or plastic to more complex, life-changing choices, which job to take, who to marry, kids or no kids. Those are considered decisions. When we have a strong set of values guiding us, it makes these choices so much easier because we've already established the guidelines, the boundaries, things that are meaningful and important in our lives. Do you see the difference now? I do value honesty in my life, and I appreciate when I receive it. I also appreciate when people have enough common sense to apply it appropriately. While it would be honest to tell your wife, or let's use grandma, that her sweater is the hideous sweater you've ever seen. You know the sweat, equity, and love and kindness that went into her creation. Any human with a heart would tell her they love it, stash it back in the box that it came in, and wear it once or twice when you see her. That's compassionate. Any man with a heart, a brain, and a desire not to spend the time in the doghouse would tell his wife that she's beautiful and maybe be brave enough to suggest that this particular dress just doesn't do her the justice or isn't the one that might be one of your favorites. And while I'm not in a position to do a lot of these things, like the sweater, I would venture to say that any parent who wants to build their child's self-esteem would gush about a pukey-looking bowl and find a spot somewhere on their china cabinet, even though I don't have children that young anymore. But what if my grandchild gave me one of those? I would stick it on my shelf just because. Honesty is a value that should be taken seriously, applied fairly, and should be a value that you use on a regular basis, a sort of litmus test for helping you make decisions. Will honesty hurt sometimes? You betcha it does. This is why you've got to exercise your ability to assess the situation you're in and make the best decision you can based on what's happening around you right there, right now. If you know that an honest answer will hurt someone, unless you're in a serious, legal, immoral, or unethical situation that requires nothing less than the blunt truth, decide if and how you can soften your approach to spare someone being hurt. Call me at 844-405-HELP because together we can help each other take our lives back. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Always be honest to the Remember that honesty is the best policy always. We should never forget that.